Good evening to every one of you, and welcome to this week's presentation. So, I'll start off with the market performance and we'll take you through some key economic highlights for this week, and some insights from the global front will also be presented along with the technical analysis. So, what happened to this week at Colombo Stock Exchange? So, market gained somewhat of a gloomy start for the final week of the month July, and it seems majority of the investors have agreed upon a wait and see approach in order to secure their investments amid the prevailing political and economic instability. So during Monday's trading session specifically, SPI lost 82 points to close at 7,639.42, and S&P SL 20 index also lost 27 points to close at 2,434.28. So this negative sentiment could have been witnessed up until Wednesday. That means during the Tuesday and Wednesday session, market continued to make losses. So, but anyhow, despite the declining trend, we could have seen somewhat of an increased interest in terms of plantation sector stocks as with the release of some of the plantation sector results for this quarter, which seems to be somewhat impressive. So, especially the counters like Malbatta, Udupusalawa, Bogavantalawa, and especially the Sunshine Holdings gained a massive traction during the week. So, this particular rally continued and contributed to report the upstick in the latter part of the week. That means, especially during Thursday and Friday's trading session, market gain in terms of both the indices. Apart from that, together with the plantation sector stocks, the energy sector, LIOC joined the bullish run. So during the last two trading sessions or last two trading days of the week, the SPI and S&P SL 20, both the indices managed to ended up with gains. So during Friday's trading session, market the SPI gained 51 points to close at 7,731.15, and S&P SL 20 index also gained 18.48 points to close at 2,448.36. So altogether, throughout the week, SPI gained up by 0.12%, but anyhow, S&P SL 20 index reported a slight decline of 0.5% with the price declines during the first three trading sessions of the week. So if we have a look at the foreign purchases and sales, foreign purchases picked up for another straight session, and the foreigners reported a net inflow of 294 million. So altogether for the month ended July, the foreign investors reported a net inflow of 784 million. And the turnover levels was look like somewhat of an staircase, whereas during the final trading session of the week, the market gained or market reached to a total turnover of 1.59 billion, and that was the highest reported for the week. So, looking at the treasuries for this week, treasuries declined in terms of three main maturities, including 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months. So, accordingly, the 3-month yield now stand at 28.86%, and 6-month yield is now standing at 29.24%, and the 12-month yield is now standing at 29.53%. Specifically, to the aforesaid bullish run in the market, the decline in treasury yields also contributed as a major factor. And apart from that, if you have a look at the spot rates for this week, the USD Sri Lanka rupee somewhat appreciated against the US dollar. That was basically due to the fall in USD. And but anyhow, when it comes to the GBP, in terms of GBP, Sri Lanka rupee somewhat appreciated, and of course, in terms of Japanese yen, it reported a slight decline or a slight depreciation. And Moving on to economic, the key highlights from the economic front for this week. The International Monetary Fund has urged Sri Lanka to start talks with China in terms of restructuring Sri Lanka's the outstanding debt with China. China is one of the biggest creditor to Sri Lanka, which own 10% of Sri Lanka's outstanding debt, of worth of 6.5 billion. Debt restructuring or achieving debt sustainability is one of the foremost criteria that Sri Lanka has to arrive or has to carry upon in order to get the required extended fund facility from IMF. The IMF Extend Fund Facility has delayed up until 31st of August now, and IMF even keeps on pushing central banks to go for rate hikes. So, amid this kind of an environment, it requires for Sri Lanka to start talks with China in terms of restructuring the outstanding debts. And even very recently, Dr. Kumaraswamy, a previous a former central bank governor, also stated that Sri Lanka has to take painful treatments in obtaining the loan, which requires massive set of reforms. And it's mandatory for Sri Lanka to restructure both internal and external debt when arriving conclusions with the International Monetary Fund. And apart from that, with all the ongoing economic boost, Sri Lanka's economic situation or the economic activities are somewhat stagnated, with an intention of giving some kind of a boost to overall economic activities, and also considering the existing fertilizer shortage due to the forex crisis. The Ministry of Agriculture has recently administrated the officials to implement a program for farmers to use a healthy combination of both chemical and organic fertilizer to cultivate from Maha season onwards. And this approach was recognized to be as integrated plant nutrition management, whereas using both the types of fertilizer to reap a successful harvest from the upcoming Maha season onwards. And the the support or the specification was basically given to paddy cultivation, which was suffered a major setback due to the previous organic farming policy. So the officials are expecting that we could have gained a good harvest in terms of using both types of fertilizer for cultivation. So with that, I would like to move upon to the international front. So, looking at the commodity prices for this week, apart from oil prices, rest of the three commodities here, gold, copper, and aluminium, ended up with weekly gains. Oil reached to report a weekly loss for the week, but anyhow, the prices are more like a steady, had a steady session during Friday's trading session with the lift of supply concerns ahead of the OPEC meeting. And gold prices also edged higher during the week because investors weighed upon the implications of rate hike and due to the fall in dollar throughout the week. And copper prices and also the aluminium prices reported gains through the week. And even the China's aluminium output seems to get a strong surge despite the increasing COVID numbers within the country. And if we have a look at the international financial markets, majority of the global markets also ended up with gains for this week, apart from some of the Asian markets. That was basically due to the rally that has been continued from the US front. US economy said to have reported contraction for the second quarter amid aggressive monetary tightening. It is the second straight quarterly decline in GDP meets the standard definition of a recession. So the Federal Reserve came up with the latest 75 basis points rate hike in order to taper the inflation, and that will make business debt more expensive and monthly payments on variable loans bigger. But anyhow, with the fall in the treasury yields and the ease of dollar, investors had some kind of an speculation with even with the economic data release that the Federal Reserve is going to stop, or they're not going to continue the aggressive rate hike and will tend to go for a monetary easing. But as of the majority of the analysts, this is a premature assumption, because that kind of an announcement was not mentioned yet. So anyhow, with this kind of a speculation, market performed during the latter part of the week, and reported the said increases to result an overall weekly gain for another session. So these are the basic point that I got to share from my end, and from here onwards, Harin will continue the presentation.
Thank you, Sachini. So, looking at gold during this week, we were able to see how gold was basically strengthened, and how it came off from a strong support level of 1700, 1710, where 1700 being a very strong psychological area. So this area that we are currently seeing at the price was able to close above the daily resistance for the weekend at 29th July 2022. So therefore, the price, if it remains over the level of daily resistance 1750, 1760, making it a strong support level now. After opening on Monday, we might be able to see it hitting towards the daily resistance of 1800 to 1810, which would generally mean that the next, whereas the next resistance and then the psychological area, which is 1800. And the moving averages also, we were able to see how the price was actually floating below the um, moving averages of 18 and 8. Now that we have some sort of a crossover from the price towards upwards, and where the price is actually trading above the moving averages, we have some sort of a hope that the price could actually remain at least short-term bullish towards the daily resistance 1800, 1810. Once this daily resistance of 1750, 1760 initially becomes daily support, where the price, since we have the price above the daily resistance now, we just have need to have some sort of a small small correction, or a small retest, I would say retest towards the daily support, and then we might be able to see it heading towards the daily resistance 1800, 1810. The RSI managed close at 553.7, which is actually in the mid range. And looking it at our CSC SPI, the RSI managed to close at 57.19. At the same time, we were able to see how the price, how the index managed to break the previous daily resistance 7,450, 7,500, and made a high of once again monthly high of which is basically recorded on July 21st, which is 7,829.49. And also the SPI also managed to make a small higher low formation at the level of 7,626.69, which was recorded on 27th July. So in this particular area that I have drawn two lines, we might be able to see the index might consolidate over this area for a bit of time before actually breaking this high of 7,829.5, which is recorded on 21st of July. So after testing that key high level, we might be able to see it either breaking or coming down again to the level of 7,626.69. So if it breaks, we might be able to see it heading towards the daily resistance 7,950, 8,000, 8,000 being a psychological area again. Looking at from our moving averages perspective, we can see that there was a crossover, and the price and the index is basically trading above both the 18 and 80 EMAs. So this indicates a bullish momentum too, and the 80 EMA is acting as a support at the moment. And as we at our 50 EMA, we do have a resistance at the 50 EMA, where when the SPI actually comes near to that level, closer to that 50 EMA level, we get some sort of rejection. So these rejections could occur again when the SPI reaches 7,829.49, that key level of high key level. And if it manages to break that area, psychological area of 8,000 would be tested, else we might be able to see some sort of a ranging happening over this area of 7626.69 and 7829.49. So that would be the initial setup. So looking at our topic of the week, which is LIOC, um, had some sort of volumes going on in LIOC, and the price managed to reach the daily resistance of 19 and 92.5, making the previous high of 87.8, which was recorded on July 4th. So the price made initial pullbacks, and then manage to reach the daily resistance 92.5. If the price manages to sustain over 90 rupees, we might be able to say this daily resistance becomes a daily support, and the psychological area of 100 would be firstly tested, and then the daily resistance 100 and 204.5 would be initially tested once again. And that would be the next uh, key area that the price could actually test after breaking and sustaining the price over the level of 90. So if it continuously get rejected, as we can see at the moment, also the RSI is quite overbought. So 72.07, which is overbought, and if the price actually gets rejected from this area, the daily support of 77.580 would be tested, or even a consolidation over this area of 77.5, 92.5 could be initiated over this area. All right, so thank you. I hope you'll enjoy the video. Have a great weekend.